Alright, my super fam, patch 4.8 live stream has just ended and there are a lot of interesting things that are coming in 4.8. We're going to be having a new Summer Island once again, new outfit, but most importantly, new character as well as reruns. And this time around, alongside with Emilie, we're going to be having Navia, Nilou, as well as Yelan. Well, if anything, I would say that these banners are pretty spicy, and if you guys do not have any of these characters and have been saving up for some of them, you are in a bit of trouble with the decision making, which of course is the reason why we're making this video, is to help you make a better decision all the way, right? The video aim is going to be discussing in depth once again into these characters, so that, you know, if it's a rerun character, you guys have a fresh idea, and we'll be looking a bit into Emilie as well. And then finally, I'll be giving you guys my own personal advice in terms of which character you guys should be best pulling in this patch. Now guys, if you've been watching some of my video, you know that I've been recommending you guys loot bar for around 3 times before, and I believe that it worked pretty well for you guys. So if you don't know what loot bar is, they actually help you to top up Primogems with very safe and secure transactions while having lower pricing discount and a very much trustworthy service with over 100,000 orders, with the majority of the reviews being 5 stars. So check out loot bar through the link in my description guys if you usually top up, as it is a very good way to get Primogems with lower pricing. So first guys, we're going to be looking into Emilie. Now they've talked a little bit about Emilie's kit in the video, but we'll quickly go through it once again so you guys have a complete idea of what she actually do. So basically guys, on paper, for ease of understanding, you can see Emilie as a character that is a little bit similar to how Dendro MC works, but more towards a burning team. So basically, unlike Dendro MC, which requires you to have her burst up for the off-field support, Emilie only requires you to have her E skill, and her E skill is basically going to be having a 100% uptime, because while there's a 22-second uptime, while there's only a 14-second cooldown. So how it works is that Emilie would use her skill, which basically puts up a lamp on the field. Alright, no guys, it looks a lot like a lamp, so I'll just call it a lamp for now. And then this starts at a level 1. However, if there's a burning affected opponent nearby, they will start to produce scents, and then her lamp will start collecting the scent. Once it gets 2 scents, the lamp will be increased to level 2, which basically increase the number of times it attacks the enemies. However, that is not all, because if it were just going to be, you know, attack enemy at low scaling and applying Dendro on that way, it would just be basically Dendro MC. However, the very good thing here is that the scaling of her E skill is actually pretty good. Not only is it going to be on field for 100% of the time, but it will be able to help you do very decent off-field damage, therefore making Emilie a very spicy sub-DPS Dendro character that is newly being introduced into the game. Now her burst guys, for the sake of simplicity, it's just basically going to be a burst that deals a lot of damage for, you know, around 3 seconds for you, which is not too hard to understand. And of course, it only have currently a 50 energy, so it is a very low energy requirement burst. Therefore, technically, you won't be having to need to invest into energy recharge for Emilie, and she will always have her burst up, just like, you know, how Nahida burst is going to be, same energy requirement, and you can see that you will never need to invest energy recharge whatsoever. For Emilie's passive, she actually has a very usable 3 passive skills. So the first one actually is that whenever her E skill is on the field, all party member gains a 85% power resistance against burning damage. Now this is actually pretty nice, because if you guys don't remember, burning damage actually deals a lot to your own party members. So giving this is kind of like a requirement that Emilie needs to have if she were to be working on a burning team. Now her second passive is that whenever she collects 2 scents, her level 2 E skill will consume these scents and release what's called Clear Dew to deal AoE Dendro damage that equals to 600% of her attack to their opponent. So if I understand this correctly, on top of the level 2 damage scaling from her E skill, this will be extra damage that she is doing on the side, which is a 600% of her own attack, though it is not considered to be elemental skill scaling. So basically, you will want to have a continuous burning reactions to be available so that you can make use of this second passive, which I believe you should be able to have because while she is going to be using in a burning team anyway. And then her third passive skill is that whenever Emilie deals damage to a burning opponent, or E skill deals damage to burning opponent, with every 1000 attack that she has, it will increase damage dealt by a 15% and the maximum damage bonus of 36%, which is pretty nice. So overall guys, here's going to be the pros and cons of Emilie's, right? Is that first of all, what I really like about her is she is opening up a new possible team comp for you guys to play. It is a burning reaction team. Obviously, while there's going to be a lot of team comps that we will be able to build around her with, having a Pyro and Dendro character on the team, but we'll discuss more in terms of that on specific Emilie pre-release discussion. But in terms of being able to actually allow a new team comp in the game is actually very fun. Just how Nilou opened up Bloom team and Cheru's in terms of overload. However, Emilie is a little bit more flexible because she doesn't have to be on a burning team and she will still work well. But obviously the whole point is to have Emilie on a burning team. But moreover, her scaling is pretty good. She will be able to actually deal you very good off-field number, which is something that we all love. On top of that, she is a Dendro character, which of course we are still lacking, very good off-field Dendro character. On top of, only have Nahida and sometimes Dendro MC to help you with that. Now we have Emilie, which is going to be a lot better addition to the Dendro off-field caster. Other than that, as I have mentioned, she doesn't always have to be working on a burning team, and she can possibly sometimes work in a Happy Bloom or could be spread aggravate team if you want here and there. And I think I'll discuss more into that in later videos in specific team because it can be time consuming. But right now, Emilie does not seem to be as team restricted as she would seem. And on top of that, guys, her E skill stays on field for 100% of the time, which compared to Nahida, which her E skill does always have 100% uptime as well, but it's more face lock because while Nahida always have to reapply her E skill whenever the next phase of enemy comes in. So Nahida downside has always been something like that. Now Emilie comes, she does not have that downside, which is very good and can maybe help out character that have longer rotation times, like Alekino or possibly Sino, right? Might open up more team comp possibility for those kind of character to not require having Nahida on their team. However, some of the downside that she's having right now, I say one of the biggest one is that I don't think she's going to be having a lot of Dendro application compared to Nahida, right? They didn't show a lot of group situation during the live stream. However, from the look of it, I feel that her Dendro application is somewhat similar to Furina. That's what I'm guessing because I'm pretty sure you guys know how bad of Hydro application Furina has, right? And Emilie might be a little bit faster than that compared to Furina because her level 2 E skill does pump out attack pretty fast. However, assuming if she only have normal internal cooldown, it's still going to be once every 2.5 seconds of Dendro applications. So it's not going to be that fast. And also her E skill do not snapshot from what I'm seeing. While obviously that's not the worst because while not many characters have snapshot E skill, but it's still something that we can actually point out. And yeah, obviously since she is a character that specializes in burning reaction teams, while many of the time you will still want to have her on a team with pyro characters, so that's still going to be a slight downside, even though I don't really consider it to be, as it is kind of like a specialty of her own. Now in terms of how much of a competition she's going to be having toward Nahida, I don't think it's going to be too much because while if you have a very good character already, which is Nahida, and you replicate that into another character, which is Emilie, then technically those two characters can still work on the same team and give you an insane number of sub DPS off-field Dendro options for you. And also right now we feel that Nahida still is going to be a character that works very well in the team that Emilie really can't, right? Because again, Emilie is a character that more focuses towards burning reaction team. So obviously we'll still have to wait for more testing whenever she is coming out. Now, moving on, we're starting to look into the character reruns of patch 4.8. Starting off is going to be Nilou. Well, Nilou. Are there much that I should be discussing about Nilou power level? I think, right guys, Nilou is one of the top character in the game right now. She's a character that makes team to be the easiest team, most, I don't want to say it, but it's actually the most brain dead team that you can play in Genshin Impact, because while you just set Nilou up, you put her into a specific Bloom team only, and then your character are just going to be doing the rest of the work, right? She buffed Bloom core damage to so high of a level that whenever you use a Bloom team, there has to be Nilou on the specific team. And also guys, the team have very good Hydro application as well as Dendro application. Therefore, right, you can have this team in almost in any situation and they will still clear the content for you, which is why Nilou Bloom team is always one of the top team across the board for, you know, the Abyss, especially when you guys are lacking in the skill or you are playing in mobile and it's very hard for you guys to be using other specific team to clear the Abyss. Then obviously Nilou Bloom team is going to be helping you there in that specific regard. So Nilou definitely is still one of the best character that I always recommend you to pull, regardless of whether you are in earlier, mid game, or even in the end game, because whenever you're finding yourself in a situation that can be a bit tough, Nilou will probably be there to actually clear the stuff for you, and which she has always has in situation that I find myself having a pretty tough time whenever it comes to the Abyss. Right, on top of that, Nilou is a very free-to-play friendly character, right? She has a lot of free-to-play friendly options that you can play along with her, you know, weapons and alongside with her artifact. You just need to go with HP. You probably don't even need to invest into her talent, because the only thing you're required is basically level her up to 90 so that, you know, whenever she should trigger her Bloom Cross, that is actually going to give her the most damage. But other than that, like guys, she's the most free-to-play friendly character that we have to date. So honestly, that's not much of a discussion right there. The only thing I want to touch on a bit is going to be Constellation, because considering if you do have Nilou, you might be looking into her Constellation. Is that so? In her C1, it is an okay Constellation, not too much of a requirement, because while you still work fine even if you're on a C0 Nilou without her C1. Her C2, oh my god, right? Oh, not only does she gives a Hydro resistant decrease of 35%, but on top of that, yeah, a Dendro resistant decrease of 35% also. So oh my god, everything on her team is going to be doing an tremendously more damage, because this is such a powerful C2 that she is giving out to your whole team right there. C4 lower her energy requirement, which is fine. I don't think Nilou has a problem with her elemental burst. C6 is going to be the one that, you know, turns Nilou into a damaging character to be on field. So other than that, I think C2 is a very good stopping point for any Nilou Bloom team. But other than that, guys, I don't think Nilou ever needs Constellation. She's a perfect character at C0 and she would do everything that you need at C0. Moving on, we already have our lovely Navia to have a rerun, which is very nice, because well, after Navia rerun this time around, I believe that you guys might have to wait a whole year or a lot longer time for Navia to have a rerun. So this is going to be a worthwhile consideration as well for some of you who really likes Navia. Now, I think you guys already know that Navia is a very special character because she is a saving grace of geocomps right now, even though that she's not a character to be used in, you know, kind of like a mono geocomps, because she is a character that utilizes Crystallize. Therefore, she sometimes do not want to have geo character to be on her team and would love to have other elemental character to be on the team to trigger Crystallize for her so that she can use that for her E skill damage, right? But other than that, she is the best geo character in the game right now, and she is some of the top DPS that you can have, because her nuke damage from her E skill is very good. Navia is definitely comparable to some of the better DPSs out there in the game, right? I think she's easily an A tier DPS right now. Very good, can be quite easy to build. You know, obviously if you use her on some of the best team like, you know, Bennett and Xiangling, that will actually help her a lot, right? Actually, Navia team is very flexible in terms of what you want, because many of the time you only need to be on the team that have different elemental character to help you out. Do check out my Navia specific team build, guys, if you want to look more into a specific Navia team build, because it can be very fun. But on top of everything that she does very well, there is some downside that you really need to look into, is that Navia's kit is more toward a single target kit than an AoE, because while her E skill does not have very good AoE, and more specifically, if you do miss her E skill, that is a huge DPS loss to her, because while it's only a 2 skill that you have activated and it does have quite a long cooldown. So while you do have to work on your aiming skill a bit and time your E skill perfectly, and moreover, Navia is a character that requires her burst quite a bit on top of being a DPS, right? So many of the time you might not have enough energy requirement for her, therefore you do want to rely on your other support character to help her with a burst up, because she is a character that requires to have almost a constant burst uptime so that you can actually, you know, stack up her shrapnel for her E skill charges, which is, yeah, the things that actually helps you to do more E skill damage for Navia. And another downside is that her specific weapons aren't actually really that free to play friendly, right? On top of her signature, obviously is the best. The next best weapon other than the 5-star are obviously going to be the Battle Pass Serpent Spine, right? Which is something that you do have to actually use money for. Other than if you really want a free-to-play option, that has to be the event weapon. But since it is an event weapon, if you don't have it before, then obviously you're not going to get it now, right? Other than that, then it is going to be the Tidal Shadow from the absolute free-to-play weapon of Fontaine. You will have to use that for Navia. Now, looking into Navia constellation, her C1 is an okay one because it reduces her burst requirement down to around like a 42 burst cost, which is a lot easier for you to keep up her burst, and also reduce its cooldown as well. So I think it's okay, not too much of an importance, guys. Her C2 basically gives the skill a 36% crit rate boost, and on top of that, it will cool down one shot of fire support when she uses her skill, which can directly provide another crystal sharpnel charge and potentially trigger crystallize as well. So overall, it is a pretty good C2 if you do want to invest into it. C3 gives her more elemental skill damage bonus, so yes, it is a pretty huge increase for her. C4 decreases your resistance of your opponent by 20% for 8 seconds. Well, yes, it is also a pretty nice constellation. C5 is okay while you don't focus on her burst a lot, so not very much important. And C6 is just a huge DPS increase for her, like roughly around 40% increase in her damage, guys. So wow, it is kind of like a C6 wow situation right here. Now, obviously, if you're at C6, you're deleting enemies anyway. So overall, I think most of us would be very good if you are deciding to invest into a Navia at C2, and that would be totally fine. Alright, now Yelan. Do I have to talk a lot about Yelan as well? Like, guys, she is definitely top 3 character in the game. Why would you not have a Yelan on your account, right? If you haven't got your Yelan, guys, get her on your account, okay? She's a very, very powerful character that just do immensely anything, right? Like, she can fit in, any team, and she will do well for you apart from, when you're up against the Hydro Shield enemy, then yes, Yelan can't tackle that. But other than that, she deletes anything as a sub-DPS character for you. Like, right, I don't think I need to talk a lot about that. Many of you might have a question like, Tom, maybe I already have Xingqiu. Do I actually need Yelan that much? Well, I would still say yes, because if Xingqiu is an already very powerful character, then you have like a direct copy of that, and sometimes even better, then why not have 2 of that character on your account and have that 2 Abyss team to help you to have a much more easier time. And moreover, Xingqiu and Yelan, guys, actually is being used a lot in multiple teams, like a specific Hu Tao team where you have Xingqiu and Yelan on that specific team. Oh my god, is that team incredible, right? So on top of doing everything that Xingqiu can, she also has the ability to buff further your damage whenever she is in her burst. Her weapons are also very free to play friendly. You just basically give her a Favonius bow if you don't have a good 5-star option for her, and that is perfect for Yelan. Or on top of that, if you want to use a 3-star HP bow, then yes, use that as well because it works so well on Yelan. Now, of course, there are some downsides to Yelan that I want to talk about. Is that, first of all, unlike Xingqiu, she doesn't have defensive capabilities, right? So she doesn't help you get resistance to interruption, unlike Xingqiu, and does not help you to heal those kind of things, right? So you do have to keep that in mind. And secondly, at C0, her Hydro application is not as good as Xingqiu. So once you get Yelan to around C2, then her Hydro application is going to be a lot better than that, which of course will be touching on her constellation right now, because well, I think that many of you are considering about that as well. So C1, give her an additional E skill, which is, I think, pretty nice, because personally, I do have a C1 Yelan. So on top of not only helping you to move around the overworld a lot faster with her double E skill, in combat wise, it actually allows you to do pretty good damage as well, because guys, E skill on Yelan has very good scaling, and yes, she will do a lot of damage with her E skill. But on top of that, it does help you with a lot more energy regen as well, because now you do have another E skill charge for her to cast, and therefore gets more Hydro particles off of that. So it does help you with energy requirement. Now, in terms of C2, as I've mentioned before, it is arguably one of her most important constellation. So on top of giving you extra damage from another set of arrows that Yelan is having, but it also increases Hydro application for Yelan as well, right? So C2 Yelan is one of the best constellation that we have in the game right now, and if you invest into Yelan constellation, it is always going to be a good thing nevertheless. C3 is oh my god, right? Yeah, we already know that Yelan bursts do a lot of damage. Now you get an extra 3 talent level of that, then yes, it's going to be doing way way more damage than before. C4 gives you a pretty sizable buff to your whole team max HP, which is very good because I think this is still one of the only constellation or skill in the game that give HP bonus to your character, so it's still pretty rare. And while it is a downside if you're not using a team that scales a lot with HP, however, while it still gives Yelan more HP nevertheless, so overall that is still fine. However, nowadays we actually have a lot of character in Genshin Impact that uses HP scaling, so overall that is a very good constellation to have. C5 yes give you more E skill damage, which is okay, and while C6 is yes one of the strongest constellation we have in the game, giving Yelan to be technically an on-field character that deletes any enemy in basically one rotation. Now I don't have a C6 Yelan specifically to test out for you guys, but I have seen what C6 Yelan is capable of out there, and yes, it is very scary. So guys, overall those are going to be in-depth information to what the character at this point in time. I hope that kind of like a refresher for your mind and more information for Emilie for you guys to decide at this point in time. Now we'll talk about, you know, my specific recommendation if you guys are on the fence of don't know which character to be choosing in patch 4.8. Alright, so guys, here's the thing. If I do not have any of the character that are coming in patch 4.8 and I want to consider them, then my top one priority is always definitely to be going for a Yelan, because wow, I cannot stress this enough, Yelan is just such a powerful sub DPS character that you want. She basically does everything that you need, from hydro application to hydro damage to off-field damage to boosting your whole team damage. And yes, hydro element is still one of the best element that we have in the game, and on top of that, right, her E skill does help you to traverse the overworld a lot better too. So yes, there you go, that's going to be a lot better for you there. Not to mention, if you do invest into Yelan's constellation, that's always going to be a positive investment for you across the board, which is why Yelan is always going to be on the top spot. Now on the second spot, it's going to be a little bit, you know, between, you know, Nilou and Emilie, because here's the thing guys, if you're still having trouble clearing the abyss at this point in time, then I would kind of recommend you to consider Nilou, because a Nilou team is just very free to play friendly. It is very good, especially if you are in newer game or mid game, because at that point you still don't have a lot of character. However, you do have a lot free to play hydro and dendro character to have access to. You have dendro MC, you have Barbara, right? Those kind of character can work on the Nilou team and will help you clear a lot of content, especially the abyss. More importantly, if you're at the end game too, right? You've got access to Nahida, you've got access to, I don't know, if you have a Baijo, if you have to, you know, even Furina, right? Those characters work so well on Nilou team that making Nilou Bloom core team a lot more better. And Nilou just goes so well on investment that, especially if you invest into Nilou constellation, right? We've already mentioned that C2 Nilou is very good. It is very worth it for you to have Nilou. Nilou Bloom team, you don't have to think about it too much. It is a brain dead team, set up Nilou, and basically everything is just done the rest for you. So consider Nilou if you don't have her. But if you don't like, you know, kind of gameplay for Nilou team, then yes, Emilie team can also be pretty fun. And yes, Emilie is a very good sub DPS character for you as well, opening up more dendro options and you know, burning team options for you guys to actually go ahead and pull. So yes, you guys can consider Emilie at that point in time. And guys, later down the line as well, since Emilie works so well in burning team, which is pyro characters, you know, maybe down the line when Natlin character comes, more powerful pyro character actually comes. Not to say that, you know, Alakino and Xiangling and Hu Tao isn't really strong enough of a pyro character already, but there might be more of an options as well for future burning team reactions opening up for Emilie as well down the road. So that might be worthwhile of your considerations. And then lastly is going to be Navia. Navia is still a very good character, guys. If these were any other reruns and Navia is not set by side some of these best character in the game, I would just definitely have Navia recommended on a higher ranking right now, because while overall, as I've mentioned, Navia is still a very good character and worthwhile for you guys to pull. Very fun gameplay as well. She is the best Geo character right now to, you know, kind of like diversify your team comps as well, right? Because I believe that you probably don't have a lot of Geo character on your account to play around with, so Navia is going to be there. However, she's still going to be in the last ranking because, well, the other character are just so good, and Emilie is a new character for you guys to decide. So that is going to be my ranking at this point in time, guys. If you do have any question, leave it out in the comment section and I will get to you there. I will be having a pre-release discussion more in depth with Emilie soon to come, so if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe to not miss out on that video. Again, if you're having trouble saving up for Primogems or you're planning to pull for a lot of the character in patch 4.8, don't forget to check out Loot Bar, as I'm sure it will be very helpful to you. I really appreciate you guys staying with me till this part of the video, and with that, I wish you a super day and I will catch you on my next video.